requirements laid out inside of it. That way everybody can understand and be aware of everything that is still needed for their business to get processed. Now, you guys, we got a very special guy here that we're going to be talking to a little bit later in the conversation. However, right now, our brother is back. Good morning. How you doing, Rita?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, man. I think you got cut out there just a little bit this morning. Can you say that one more time, Rita?
Yeah, I said good morning, brother. I miss the team. I miss you guys. You know, we just moved in last night, so we are ready to rock.
Man, congratulations, Rita. I'm happy that you were able to close in your home. You're actually not living too far from this guy we're going to have a conversation with today now, so that's going to be very exciting. But you guys, today, our guest, I want to make sure we kind of reiterate some of the basic stuff, so that way when we actually start getting into the conversation, we can get to the juicy stuff a little bit quicker. But I want to introduce this gentleman. I have a lot of respect for him. He's helped us out substantially over the years, and I just want to tell him, first and foremost, I appreciate him. I want to thank him for joining us this morning on this morning's call. You know, he comes from a very small town in South Georgia. Growing up, he experienced a lot of stuff. He's a country boy at heart. You know, when he was young, he actually ended up living with his dad. And during that time, he actually bonded very closely with his dad. And, you know, I want to kind of highlight a couple things that we're going to start going through a little bit later in the conversation. But he was exposed to the insurance business at 14 years old, where he was able to start seeing some of the nuances of the business, how recruiting works, how building a team works, how that environment is really kind of felt, experienced, and how to make sure that everybody feels connected at all times. And, you know, he was able to be versatile at many points throughout his career. And it wasn't until he was later on in college, right before he said, "This is not for me," that he actually made the full transition into insurance. And in doing so, and over the last 30 years, he's been able to build an agency that only most of us aspire to build. Right now, they're doing they're doing over $2 million a month in annualized premium. And I think it's worth us actually getting into the mindset of how this gentleman actually built his business, how he operates his business, and how he actually makes sure that everybody's able to go out on a daily basis and execute. So that's what we're going to have a conversation about today. I want to welcome, with a very warm welcome, to our morning call, Mr. Frank Buce. How you doing this morning, Frank?
Hey, good morning, Jamal. Good morning, Rita. Good morning, everybody out there. Hope everybody's doing well on this fine Wednesday morning. And I am so proud and so honored and pleased to be with you this morning. Quite an honor. Jamal, I appreciate you so much asking me to be on the call last week, and been looking forward to it ever since we had our last conversation. You know, as I told you when we were talking the other day, I always love to talk about this business. I love this business. I love to talk about sales. I love to talk about how to help people in this business to improve their sales and improve their business. I just love talking about all these things, and I appreciate all the fine accolades that you just mentioned about me. I guess you got with Tim and got some history on me, but like you said, I was exposed to the business at a very young age. And you know, my dad worked with an outfit called A.L. Williams, if you've ever heard of those and heard of them, and they used to be really big in the business, and that's now today Primerica. You know, A.L. Williams sold out to them a long time ago, but basically what it was a high school football coach went out and built a sales organization, Mr. Art Williams, and actually over a 10-year period, they outproduced Prudential, Metropolitan, and New York Life, all three combined. So it just goes to show, no matter where you come from or where you start, you can do great things. And that's what I love about this business, is that it allows you to do great things. And no matter who you are, if you're out there listening, if you're just starting in the business, or if you've been in the business 30 years like myself, 30-plus years, you can do this. And the opportunity is there. The only limitation is you yourself. And so if you are listening to me this morning, please know that, hey, there's no limitations as to what you can do. And that's what I love so much about this business.
Well, I got a lot of stuff to talk to you about, Frank. I'm super excited if you can't tell already. I do want to thank you first and foremost for joining us on this morning's call. But, I want to talk about something that happened very young before we start to transition into the remainder of the conversation that I think is relevant, because this is something that I feel like a lot of people can't grasp, and I want you to kind of tell the story of when you wanted to play basketball and they told you that you were overweight and what that did to you to make you want to strive to make sure that you made that a reality. So can you kind of speak to that experience a little bit more, Frank, and kind of talk about what the mindset is that you adapted from that experience to where you're at in the business today?
Well, I sure thank you for saying that. And I did want to play football. I wanted to play, but same concept. But when I was probably 13 years old, I always struggled with my weight, and I was an overweight kid. And people would make fun of me and do all the things that kids do. But my daddy told me, he said, if you want to play football, son, you're going to have to get in shape, and you're going to have to work, and you're going to have to do things that other kids may not have to do to be able to follow your dream and to play football. And so I literally used to run up and down steps behind my house, and I would do push-ups, and I would do whatever I had to do to get the weight off. And I finally got it off, and ended up playing football and started for 3 years both ways in high school. And that was one of the things that I just really wanted to do. So I learned at a very young age, no matter what your skill limitation may be or physical limitation may be, you can overcome that with hard work. And so something my dad always kind of beat in my head, no matter what you have, an obstacle you have in front of you, or what limitation you may have, you can overcome that, and you can overcome it with hard work. You just have to be willing to put the effort in. And so I learned that at a very young age, following my dream to play football.
Wow. And Frank, can you kind of talk about what it was like, because your high school football team ended up going to a point where in the 3 or 4 years that you were there, you guys only lost like 3 games. So that's true. That's a true alpha dog mentality, where you guys had a very small team, but you guys were versatile enough to play both ways, which when I think about this business, I think that's exactly how it is. Because not only do we have to make the sale, we also have to service the client. We also have to make sure we do the underwriting. We do all of the work initially when you get started in this industry, in this business. You have to take care of everything. So can you kind of talk to a little bit as far as, how that versatility, as far as being able to be on that type of team, with that type of environment, with that type of people, where everybody wanted to win, and also how you took those elements to kind of build your business where it is today?
Sure. And that had a large effect on my life, not only, personally, but business-wise as well. And, some of the things that I learned, first of all, teamwork, being a good teammate and helping others for no other reason than they are your teammate and they are your coworker. And, if you can't outgive helping other people. I promise you, if you will help other people and you will do for other people, it will come back to you. It'll come back to you tenfold. And, I think about my junior year in high school, our coach always told us, if you don't get scored on, there's no way you can lose the game. And we went our entire junior year, our season, without getting scored on. We didn't give up 1 point the entire year. And, there was some times, that's just unbelievable. And we had guys playing both ways. And it's just crazy when I think back on that. But I learned, what, if you have that drive and you have that mentality, I'm gonna focus on the little things. The little things matter. Sometimes we lose sight of that. And when I think about how that relates to business today, when I see sometimes agents maybe struggle, it's because they get away from doing the little things that they mean so much. And, you take a lot of little things, Jamal, and they add up to a lot when you put them all together. Just like you take a lot of guys on a team or ladies on a team, and when they all put their efforts together and you get that going in one direction, that's powerful. that adds up to a lot. And so those are some of the my mindset and some of the things that I learned about having a positive attitude and having that drive to just push forward every day, continue to do the little things that matter. When you get away from doing those things and being being team oriented and helping others, that's when you get in trouble. And so I talk about that a lot. But thank you for bringing that up. You're so right about that.
Yeah, and Frank, speaking of those little things, what would you say are those little things within our industry? Or just let's make it a little bit simpler. In the course of a conversation that you're having a client or in the act of servicing your client, what would you say those little things are that allow agents or producers to be successful?
Well, one of the big things I would say is customer service. We're so focused on just making a sale, we forget to take care of our customer. And I'll tell you this, if your customer likes you and you give them good service, they're going to send you 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 more customers. And that's something I always focused on when I was out in the field full time. I took care of my customers. I was their insurance agent. They didn't know anybody else because I took care of their every need. Even if it wasn't a policy they had with me, I would still help them take care of that because I wanted them to call me or refer me to others. And if you would give your customers that level of service, you've made a friend for life, and I promise you they will take care of you. If you take care of them, they will take care of you. Give them a call on their birthday. Send them a note. Send them a text. Send them an email, whatever. Just the little things like that. Just check in with them every so often. Ask them how they're doing. Ask about their family. Ask them if their needs change. The more contact that you have with your customer and your client, the more that's just another opportunity to make a sale, because a lot of people don't realize people take insurance out every 18 to 24 months. They're going to take more coverage or make a change or something on their coverage every 18 to 24 months. That's statistical facts. And so I knew that, and so I wanted myself to be the person they called on when they got ready to make those changes or add coverage. And I made so many sales doing that. Just simply the little things that matter, taking care of the customer, making sure they got their policy, making sure everything was taken care of, making sure everything was like they wanted it and their needs. And so many times I see agents, they just make a sale and they forget about their customer. They don't follow up. They don't ask for referrals. If your best referral is going to be a good customer, and they're going to tell other people, and you need to ask them. I mean, if they thought enough of you to buy a policy from you, certainly they're going to like you and want to refer you to somebody else. So those are some of the things that I'm speaking about, the little things that mean so much in this business.
And, it kind of goes back to an old saying, which is a closed mouth doesn't get fed. And it's kind of the notion of if you don't ask, you won't know. So, I mean, Frank, how much of that process is just a matter of just asking instead of just kind of, feeling like you have to go above and beyond, do a whole bunch of extra stuff? Because I feel like that's probably the biggest piece, is that hesitation to just ask. So, would you say that that's a big factor that hinders a lot of people from being able to just ask for a basic referral?
It absolutely is, Jamal. And, if you've got enough courage to ask somebody for a sale, to make that closing question, to make that close, certainly you should have enough courage to ask them for a referral. I mean, once you've made the sale and closed the deal, the hard part's over. The rest is easy at that point.
You think, Frank, you think.
But agents these days don't ask for referrals. And I pound it in our guys' head every day. We have our call every week, and every time we talk, I always tell them, ask for referrals, ask for referrals. I promise you, if you'll just ask, you will get referrals, and you will generate sales without even having to buy more leads to do it with. And that's the crazy part about it. Referrals don't cost you anything except to ask a question. So why would you not do that?
Yeah.
That's the key.
I definitely feel where you're coming from with that, Frank. But, I want to digress a little bit, and I want to transition to where you started, because you got exposed to the business very young when you were around 14 years old. But you ended up not pursuing it immediately. You ended up actually taking the conventional route. You went to college, and then you realized, hey, this isn't for me. I need to do something else. Now, what was going through your mind at that time where you was like, I need to look for something else? And what kind of made you turn back to the insurance industry, specifically the niche of final expense, and you said, I'm going to be number one at that?
Well, this is kind of where I was at. I was in college. I was in my third year of school, and I just got bored with it. I was just, I was like, I'm just spinning my wheels here. And, I majored in criminal justice, and so I was sitting there saying to myself, what's going to be my financial future doing this? I mean, there's going to be a big a low ceiling to that, a relatively low ceiling. So I said, what can I do to where I can be financially free? And I thought back to when I used to go to those meetings with my dad, and I said, I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the competitiveness of it. I enjoyed the camaraderie, but I enjoyed the business in general, and I enjoyed helping people. This business is so great because we get to meet new people every single day. We get to talk to different people from all over the place. And you learn things from people you meet. And I thought back to those days, and I thought back to, when I had on sales appointments with my dad and would sit there and listen to him. And I thought about that, and I just so enjoyed it. And I said, I'm going to go back to that. I want to go back to that. And so I got into the business, went out, got my license, started my first year in the business. I started with a company called Liberty National, and I led the company in sales my first year. Because I'll tell you this about me. When I was in the field, and even today, somebody may have better sales skills than me. They may have other skills better than me. But I tell you one thing they weren't going to do. They were not going to outwork me. And, I've always said that. Hard work will overcome anything. I said this before in the call, but I meant that, so I thought back to my football days, outwork the other guy. If you outwork the other guy, you'll get ahead in the end.
Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, right, Frank?
Exactly. You are so right. Hard work will overcome and beat talent any day of the week. So those are some of the reasons that I got back in the business. It just allowed me to have that freedom. I had no limitations on what I could do. People tell me every day, well, this is all I can do. Art Williams used to say, all you can do is all you can do. And, that's just, he made a famous speech one time. If you can YouTube it and watch it, and I would encourage you, all of you listening, that man, I tell you what, you want to talk about a motivator.
Great.
He absolutely was. He spoke, do you know he hired 267,000 agents? 267,000 agents he had under contract when he retired and sold his business to Primerica. That's unbelievable. And we're talking about a high school football coach. So, when I began to think about that and how much I loved football and how much I loved that competitive nature, I thought back, I said, man, that's the business for me. And so I got back in the business and, started out as an agent, just like many of you. And, excelled at sales. And I said to myself one day, if I can do this for myself, I can teach others and help others do this. And so I started to build an agency. And, I started out, I was taught, hire 10 people, get them up, running and going, make sure they're taken care of, trained and operating smoothly. Then, break a leg, as we call it, and find somebody in those 10 that can manage and, let them kind of oversee them and then hire you 10 more. And so I began to do that. We built and built and built. And, Today we have over 800 agents under contract with us and all over the nation. It started out kind of small, but, we've built it up. And, I love what I do. And I love getting up every day and being in this business and talking about what we do. So that's kind of the history of what we do. I know I skipped over a lot of, there's a lot of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears in between, but, that's why I got into the business, to answer your question.
No, absolutely, Frank. I appreciate that clarity. And, there's a lot of things that you said subliminally that I think a lot of people may have picked up or may have breezed over. But, I just want to highlight the fact that, for you to be who you are and where you are, coming from the environment that you came from, I just want everybody that's listening right now to know that absolutely anything is possible. And Frank, that's one thing about you that I feel like you try to make clear for everybody is that anything is possible as long as you're willing to make sure that you're going to go out, do the work, and do what you need to do to make sure that it happens. Now, I want to transition a little bit because, you know, Frank, your business model is completely predicated on primarily face-to-face field distribution. And, you know, that's how Rita and I sharpened our teeth. However, most of our operations right now is pretty much facilitated primarily over the phone. So I don't think that there is too much that's different about face-to-face and over-the-phone sales as much as it is the person that's actually doing it. And, you know, I think the tactical part of the sale process, I think, is congruent for everybody to be able to learn from and take something away from. And I just kind of wanted to know, you know, when you were doing your business, and at one point, I got to make this, give you this big shout out here, Frank. In 1 year, you were told that there's no agent that can do more than $300,000 in a year. And you set out moving forward from that date to do over $300,000 in annual premium. And you were working 6 days a week or 7 days a week, and you made it happen. So I want to kind of break down a little bit, Frank. What were some of the sales tactics that you actually executed on within your business, aside from just the leads, but as far as how you worked with people, how you actually ran your appointments? What was that like that allowed you to be able to perform at such a high level?
Well, in the year you're talking about, Jamal, was 2001, and I set out on a mission, and I said, you know, if I want to build a business and I want to teach other people to sell, then I have to do the best I can do as a personal sales agent first. And I actually ended up writing $411,000 in AP that year, annual premium, which is crazy, but I did it. But the way I did it before. It is. But before you can be successful at that or do that, you have to have a plan of action. So I had a plan of action. And, you know, the first thing I tell people in field sales, especially Monday, is the key to your whole week. I see so many people today that just don't make Monday a work day. I would always be sitting at my first appointment, knocking on my first door, even if it was 6 hours from the house, wherever it was. I would be sitting there Monday morning at 10 o'clock and knocking on that door. And I said to myself, no matter what, I'm going to get a sale in the bag on Monday, because that just set the tone for the whole week. So you got to, you know, you don't need to be mapping your leads and all that on Monday morning. You need to do all that either on Friday the week before or over the weekend, but you need to be sitting there ready to go to work at your first stop Monday morning by 10 o'clock at the latest. And I worked all day long on Monday. I would go out, I knocked on doors, and I worked as hard as I could. Then Tuesday, you know, you got to have a more focused plan. So I would kind of group my leads and kind of get those all together and, you know, in the different zip codes and make sure I could work them, you know, the most time effective way. So I would group my leads together. And a lot of times I would just do them by age, because I think that's important. You know, a lot of times people in their 50s to 60 range, they're not going to be at home during the day. So you want to kind of group your 65 and above leads and work those during those daytime hours. And then after 5 o'clock, you want to work your 50 to 60-year-olds, because you're going to probably catch them at home more often then. And so I would go out and I would knock on doors all day on Tuesday. And I would work as many of my leads as I could, sit down with as many people as I could. So you finish Tuesday, and then Wednesday, you know, here you are, you're trying to finish your leads. Wherever you've traveled to, whatever town you're in, you know, you want to try to finish all your leads. And I always made a point to finish my leads. I don't care if I had written $1,000 monthly premium that week, I was going to finish my leads. If I had spent the time, the effort, and the money to go out and get my hotel, pay for my meals on the road, gas and whatnot, everything I had to spend, I was going to finish my leads. I wasn't coming home till I finished my leads. So many times I see people, they make a few big sales and they say, oh, I've made my week, and, you know, they throw the rest of their leads in the floorboard and they head home. And I get that. Everybody wants to be with their family, but I wanted to finish my leads. I made sure that I always finished them. And so I would do that every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Then on Thursday and Friday, I always made sure I had referrals or callbacks, and I'd work those all day long on Thursday and Friday, just, you know, trying to get as many sales as I could in for that week. And I did that every week. And always on Friday, I had my leads for the next week. I had them already in my hand. I was already mapping those out, figuring out, making a plan of action for what I was going to do the following week. And so you have to have a plan, and you have to follow that plan, and you have to stick to it. You know, a lot of times I see guys, they go out on these runs. They'll go out and they'll work 6, 7 straight days, and then they'll take 2 weeks off. You can't do that. You have to have a system. And so once you develop that work system and that work ethic, you have to stick to it, and you have to do it week after week after week. You do it one day at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time, and then 1 year at a time. If you do those things and you follow that plan and you stick to it, you will be successful in this business, especially in field sales. So that was kind of my plan back then.
Okay. That's a lot to unpack there, especially as far as just being organized, you guys. And I do think that Monday sets the tone for the rest of the week. If we don't have a good Monday, that's going to be a really good reflection of what the rest of the week is going to look like. And Frank, I want to talk about, you know, what were some of the things that you actually always maintained in your mindset whenever you went to go see people? Because whenever I think about talking to clients, going to see clients, you know, a lot of people think that all of these clients are so different. You got to say something different. And they keep adjusting what they're saying to people. And I think that what allows really good producers to be successful is the consistency in what they say. It's to a point where I could say something, and I'm sure that you probably could do this as well, where you would say the same thing over and over and over again. And is that something that you adopted into your business that not only gave you consistency, but also allowed you to be able to control the conversation a lot more because you knew you could almost assume what most people were going to say just from having the conversation enough?
Absolutely, 100%. You know, and it's all about finding a successful process and then just duplicating that over and over and over again. And what's great about it, like you said, it doesn't matter who you're sitting down with or where you're sitting down with them at. That process will work on the other people. It doesn't matter who they are or where they are. That process will work. And so my sales presentation did not vary 2 words from one house to the next to the literally thousands of people that I sat down with. My sales process did not change one bit. And, you know, that process was really very simple. The first thing you want to do is obviously get in the door. But so many times I see when guys or ladies get in the door, Jamal, they just dive right in and start trying to make a sale. You have to do your core, okay? And that's so important. That's really probably the most important thing you can do. I always took a minute, took a breath, and talked to people, did my core, and built rapport with them. Because once they like you, the rest is easy, okay? But if they don't like you, you're going to have a tough go of it. I don't care how good your presentation is. So you do your core, then you get into your presentation. Like you said, if you have that presentation down to a fine art, which I did, you can control the conversation at that point. And really the results are pretty predictable once you've got that down. And so
can you break down for us core really quickly, Frank, before you continue?
Core is children, occupation, recreation, and education. Okay, so talk about things that people want to talk about. Everybody wants to talk about their children or their grandchildren. They just do. Then you know that's a great talking point. People want to talk about what they did for a living. Are they retired? Are they still working? Hey, what do you do for a living? Tell me what you do. You know, find out a little bit about them, talk about them, and then talk about recreation. Talk about, hey, what do you do for enjoyment? Do you hunt? Do you fish? Do you sew quilts? I mean, whatever they do for recreation, people enjoy talking about that. And then talk about their education. Hey, did you go to college? What high school did you go to? Hey, where'd you go to school at around here? You know, just stuff like that. And if you talk to people about those things, they'll open up to you. Because what you want to do when you're sitting down with someone, Jamal, they have their guard up. Okay, they're going to put that guard up because they're saying to themselves, hey, this guy's trying to sell me something. But if you'll do that core and get them to let that guard down, then once you start your presentation, they feel at ease with you. Then the conversation goes so much more smoothly.
So Frank, I've actually been thinking about this for a very long time, and you know, my mindset whenever I'm talking to somebody or I think about us having a conversation, in their mind, I know that they're thinking this person is trying to sell me with something. What my goal becomes over the course of the conversation is for me to change those words in their mind. Is from this person is trying to sell me something, is this person is trying to help me with something. If we could shift that perspective that the client has when they're having a conversation with us, from them trying to sell us something to us trying to help them with something, I think that's what actually allows that to be a whole lot more smoother, and also us being able to be in a position where we can help a lot more people. Because I think that ideology of selling people comes from the notion of this only benefits me. This doesn't benefit you. And if you kind of said something a while back that I want you to kind of get to, Frank, where you kind of talked about, identifying the need. And I want to kind of break that down with you as far as what identifying the need looks like to you, as far as how you guys train people, how you guys educate on this specific topic in general, as far as identifying that need and making that connection with the product that's going to make people change that perspective from this person's trying to sell me to this person's trying to help me.
Well, I used to try to let the client know, hey, I'm on your side. It's just like you just said. I'm trying to help you. I'm not trying to sell you something. So when you start asking help questions and things, a lot of times people don't really like to talk about that, or they feel like you're trying to get into their personal business. And I used to say, hey, listen, I want to get you the best plan and get you the best rate that I can. I'm here. I'm trying to help you. I'm working for you. It's like you and them against the carrier, so to speak, and you're working for them, trying to get them the best rates you can. And if you approach it like that, they're going to open up to you and tell you so much more. And it's the same thing when you're trying to develop that need. When you start to talk about, okay, do they have coverage? Do they not have coverage? If they do have coverage, what type of coverage do they have? Is it something that I maybe could get a better rate for them on? Is there some coverage that they may be paying on that they don't really need? You have to find that need and develop that need. To give you an example, I used to sit down with people that would have cancer policies. A cancer policy is the biggest waste of money that's ever been created. That's one of the biggest money makers for insurance companies there is. But in my opinion, that's just how I feel about it. Because if they've got if they have health insurance, and most of the people we sit down do, they have med subs, and they have Medicare and med subs. They don't need a cancer policy. All that's doing is duplicating coverage they already have. So I would look for ways to get premium dollars there that I could put something in place. I would say, hey, you might have cancer, you might not, but we're all going to die. That's a fact. There's no getting around that. So why not put your money into something that is going to benefit your family and benefit you and your family, instead of putting it into something that you're kind of betting that you're going to get cancer. And that was one of the things I used to sell, and like accident policies. Just such a waste. So many people have accident insurance, they don't even know they have it, and they're just paying on it. I mean, that's not it. Only, I think, 1% nationwide of accident policies ever pay $1 out. So it's a big money maker for the insurance company, but it doesn't do a lot for the client. So I would always try to approach it like that, try to look for ways that I could help that client. And always, that was my mindset. Okay, if I look at it, if I put the other hat on, I'm helping the client. They would sense that and they would see that. And so once you get to that point with them, then they're going to pretty much do what you show them. You show them a good plan of action, they're going to go along with you. And I didn't have a lot of cancellations for that reason, because people felt like, hey, he really tried to help me. He did the best he could for me. So I think that's so important that you approach it with that mindset.
And Frank, you brought up the next topic I wanted to talk to you about, which is the ideology that, people buy what you show them. And I think this is probably the number one thing that most of our agents struggle with is showing people those options. And I feel like you got to show people options for them to know that you even have options available for them. And, sometimes we get into a state of mind where we start to assume things. And we all know what they say about assuming. It makes an ass out of you and me. So, when we start to think about that, Frank, and assuming where people are at financially versus showing people the options that are going to satisfy the need that they probably have, because we believe in showing the gold, silver, and bronze plan. Bronze starts at $55, silver starts at $75, gold starts at $95. And
Right.
I want to talk to you really quickly because, you know, from your experience, and you have a lot of experience in this business, how much of your success has been a matter of just showing people the options, and people always choose from the option that you show them when you actually transact business?
Well, it's just been a huge part, and that's how we teach to close. I mean, that's what you use. You show them those three plans: gold, silver, and bronze. And I'm kind of like you. You know, you and I think a lot alike, and that, like my bottom plan, I wanted my lowest plan to be around $55-$60 a month. You know, the gold plan is going to be like $95 to $100, and then the silver is going to be in the $80 to $85 range, and then that bottom plan was going to be $55-$60 a month. And, you know, that was my starting point. I would give them options. Okay. That way you're not telling them what they need to do. You're saying, okay, which one of these would work best for you? And that's what I would ask them. That was my close. I would show them the three plans. I'd say, now, Ms. Jones, which one of these plans would work best for you? If there's a problem, they'll tell you. Or, you know, 9 times out of 10, they're just going to pick one. And then then you got the sale there. But when you start telling them what they need to do, and that's when they put up those defenses again and put that wall up. But when you give them options and you give them choices, they're going to feel more at ease with that. They're going to feel like, hey, they made the decision and it was something they're comfortable with, and then you make the sale. You know, a lot of times people, they're not going to pick the highest one to start with. But you know what? You're setting up another sale for down the road. It's like I said earlier, they're going to call you back when they get ready to get more coverage. You know,
or if you
don't bite off more than they can chew to start with. So
yeah, and another thing, Frank, is if they don't know that option is even an option, they're going to go to somebody else who they think does have it as an option because you didn't choose to show it to them. And
well, exactly. And I always used to tell my clients, you know, now, Ms. Jones, you can always increase this later on. I let them know, hey, when you get ready to up your coverage or when you want more coverage, I want you to call me. Stick with this plan you've already got. We can increase this later on. You know, that I'll always make sure I told them that. And so that's so important because that's just setting up a sale for later on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. That you have to give them choices. You have to give them options. And that's our close. That's what we teach everybody to use. And that's what I always used. And it worked great for me. And it will for all of you as well.
I believe in that, Frank. I definitely know that is something that will work for everybody. And Rita, you've been a patient man. I know you got a couple questions that are burning inside of you to ask Frank, so I want to open up the floor for you, man. Go ahead and ask any questions that you have for Frank.
No, good morning, Jim. I was listening to everything that Frank was saying, and I was absorbing everything. As you know, we are always students of this game, and
I'm sorry, Rita, your voice is a little muffled. Can you repeat that one more time, Rita?
Can you hear me better now?
Crystal clear, man. Crystal clear.
Yeah, thank you, because, you know, we moved to this new house, and sometimes the connections are tough, but I said as a student of the game, I was listening to everything that Frank was saying, and I can thank you enough, Frank, for taking the time from your busy day to teach all of us the right way to do this business. And we are always students of the game. We always are here to learn. So from the bottom of my heart, I really thank you for taking the time. And listening to you, it takes me back to, you know, when a lot of agents were putting the work. Where, you know, technology right now with the iPhone and iPad and iHome and iCleaner and iRobot, a lot of people think there is something called an iSale, meaning, you know, I'm just going to get on the phone and the client will buy and I'm good to go. If they fail on 2 or 3 sales, now they're depressed. They blame the company. They jump to another IMO. The same issue happens there. They jump to another IMO because statistically right now, we know that average agent doesn't stay with the same IMO for like 4 or 5 years. And they always blame the IMO, and we know that's not the case. So if you can just talk a little bit, not too long because you've done so much and I cannot thank you enough, just for our listeners to understand, you know, the importance of hard work, just hard work, buying the leads. Either you are making money or losing money. Buying leads is the key. That's the fuel of your business. And also doing the field sales, because a lot of my friends right now, they are on the field sales and they are, you know, making good money, some of them better than telesales agents. And especially with the leads that we have available with Senior Select, the direct mail, which is it's opening up so much doors for them. And again, thank you so much. I'll go on mute and I'll listen to the teacher.
Well, leads are the single most important thing that we do, and especially with face-to-face sales, because you have to have people to go and see every week. And, yeah, you can get out here and go knock on doors, and you can try to generate referrals and all that, and that's great, and you need to do that. But at the end of the day, you have to have people to go see every week. So that's why leads are so important. Leads are going to put you in front of people in the right demographic who have expressed an interest, who, you know, want to find out more, okay? Now, every lead is not a sale. If it were, we wouldn't need agents. But that lead is designed to do two things. Number one, give you somebody to go see, and number two, give you a way to get in front of them and get in that door and talk to them. Once you get inside the house, the rest is on you. But that's what that lead is designed to do, and that's one of the biggest problems I see with agents. They don't want to make that investment. You have to make that investment. I can guarantee you this, our closing percentages, if you find a duplicatable sales process that will work, and you will simply buy 20 to 25 leads a week and go and work them. And I don't mean just mess around. I'm talking about get out there and work them as hard as you can. I will guarantee you will make money. I promise you. But now, if you don't work them, then, you know, that's the flip side of the coin. So you have to put in that effort. I don't care what your skill set is, how great it is, or how poor it may be, if you'll work those leads, because they're going to give you people to go see. Some of those people have already made up their mind. They're going to buy insurance from the first person that comes along. They want to buy a policy. You know, but and then I call them A, B, and C leads. You know, the C leads are just going to be some you just can't get in front of, you can't make contact with, or just won't even talk to you. The A leads are the ones I call them lay downs. Those are going to be the ones you just show up and they're going to buy. But the B section, that's where you have to make your hay. That's where you have to make your money at. Those are the people that you have to be able to sit down with your sales process and convert them into sales. Okay. They're kind of on the fence. They kind of, yeah, I'm interested, and I don't really know if I need it. I don't really know if I want it. Those are the people. That's where you have to live. That's where you're going to make your money.
So,
and
Frank,
that's going to be the difference. Yeah, sir.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that was a very powerful statement that you just said, differentiating A, B, and C. And, you know, talking about those B leads, and I think this is versatile for field, telesales, any type of lead. They have these people. So if you're having these B leads and you know that you're going to have to prove value, because all value has to be justified no matter who you are. And I think what we have to do a better job at is making this product not only relevant, but putting the value proposition in a way that makes the client believe that this is something that's actually going to be impactful for their lives. So when you actually think about handling B leads in particular, how is your approach with those leads as they are different from C leads and A leads?
Well, you know, again, first thing you do, you have to do your core, obviously. But once you get into your presentation, okay, there is a reason that these people sent these leads in, okay? There's something that triggered them to send that lead in. And so I always I was thinking and I was talking at the same time. So I was looking for that hot button. Okay, what sparked their interest? And sometimes I would just ask them, hey, you know, hey, Ms. Jones, what triggered you to send this lead in? What prompted you to send this lead in? And sometimes they'll just come out and tell you, you know, and you have to talk to them and you have to build that value there. Okay, this is what I can do for you. You know, this is the plan of action we have. You know, you have this coverage or you don't have coverage, or you got this plan, but you know, this plan might be better, and you have to build that value. This is how this is going to help you and your family, and you have to kind of shine that apple, I guess is a crude way of putting it, but I used to say that, you know, you have to, or back the hearse up, I used to call it, you know. So people don't like to think about dying, guys. They don't. Nobody does. I don't. You know, but you have to hammer that home. You know, listen, you're gonna go away from here one day, and when you do, you know, there's some things that have to be taken care of, and the last thing any of us want to do is leave that behind on our family or our loved ones. You love your family, don't you, Ms. Jones? Who's going to say no to that? Of course they're going to say they love their family. If you love your family, you need to go ahead and take care of this while I'm here. Insurance is based on two things. It's based on health and age. And, you know, I would always tell them, this is never going to be any cheaper for you than it is right now, because we all get older every day. So that would be some of the ways I would try to get in those B leads and dive in there and build that need. You have to show them that need, because it's not a tangible product. It's not like a car or something at the store you can go look at. You're basically, you know, buying a peace of mind is what you're selling. And so but that's a big thing. And so you have to build that value, offer them that peace of mind, make them comfortable with it, and then you can get them to go ahead and close. But that's it. I mean, that's just some of the things that I did and some of the approaches that I used to take in a house. I was always looking for that thing. You know, it might be a situation where, you know, they don't have any kids, but they've got a loved one. Like, I'll give you an example. One of the biggest sales I ever made, I had a man, a doctor, retired doctor from the military, was paying $1,600 a month, monthly premium to me for final expense coverage. And he called me up one day. He'd had it for about 3 years. He called me up one day, and he canceled it. Canceled all cash, said, I want to cash it in. And I said, Dr. Jones, I said, you know, what's going on? He said, well, I just want to cash it in. Well, I didn't fight with him, didn't fuss with him. And I did everything for him just like he asked. It didn't cost me a chargeback, but I did lose the renewals on it. I want y'all to know 3 months later, he called me back, and he said, Mr. Buce, I want to get all my insurance back. And so I went back and sat down with him, got it all back, rewrote everything, and actually it was about $200 a month more by then because he'd had a couple of birthdays. But I asked him, I said, why'd you cancel before? You know what it was? He had gotten into a fight with his sister, and she was the beneficiary on his policies, and he, you know, it's just one of those things. So you never know, and you never want to be disrespectful, so you always have to be looking for what, you know, that need there, and that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to leave that behind for his sister. That was his legacy. You know, people either want to leave it behind to take care of their final expenses. Sometimes they just want to leave a legacy for their loved ones. So those are just some of the ideas and things I kept in mind when I was trying to make sales and develop that need.
Now, Frank, I had just a few more questions for you. I got one question that's a little bit closer to a topic that we discussed earlier, which is related to referrals. Now, at what point in the conversation do you feel like it's most appropriate to kind of start asking for referrals, and what do you say to people when you're trying to get more referrals from them?
I always ask for mine at the end. I waited till after I'd gotten the close, taken the application, gotten everything done, you know, and we're kind of, you know, doing our cool down, and I would ask for my referrals then. Okay, and I would say, no, you know, Miss Jones, I was able to help you with this plan, and I know you're well satisfied with this. I know you have some family and friends that may need this same type of plan. Do you mind referring a couple of them to me? And if they said yes, sometimes I would even have them sit down and call them for me right then while I was sitting in the house, and I would go immediately over to whoever they referred me to and sell them right then. There's no hotter lead. There's no better lead than a referral. And so that's what I always do. I always waited till the end, and then I did it then because I wanted to cover all my bases, make sure I had my sale done and closed, and then I would ask for the referral.
But what if you can't close the sale?
Well,
do you still ask for a referral?
Well, you certainly can, and the way you do that, you just say, "Miss Jones, I realize that you already had things taken care of before I came here today, and I appreciate you listening to me. Obviously, I've got a good plan here. Do you have some family or friends that you feel like this might be of value to, since you already had yours taken care of, and since I was able to come out and visit with you, would you mind, you know, referring me to them?" That's the way you do it. And, you know, you always ask for referrals, even on the ones you don't close. You can still do that if you've been nice and been respectful and if they like you. So, again, it's so important. Don't ever get disrespectful with a customer. And I know we all get frustrated sometimes when we don't make the sale. Maybe it's just not the right timing or whatever, but if you're nice to them, you've got a chance to make that sale down the road, but you've also got a chance to get a referral. And I have gotten referrals that way. So you brought up a great point there. But I always, every house, no matter what, I ask for referrals, even if I didn't make a sale there. I would ask. Sometimes the neighbor would be sitting out on the porch, and I'd say, hey, is this whoever next door? And they'd say, oh, yeah. You think she'd mind if I talk to her? Do you mind introducing me to her? I mean, that's just, you have to do that. You can't be scared. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid to close. Don't be afraid to ask for referrals. I promise you, it's nothing to be afraid of. So many times, and that's really the reason a lot of agents don't do it, guys, is they're just afraid. Don't be scared. Just talk to people. People aren't going to be ugly to you. Some will, but you know what? They're going to be ugly to people anyway.
Exactly.
Just ignore that. You have to ignore that, put it out of your mind, and go on to the next one. And one other point, if I did have that frustrating sale, or one that really got me upset, or one that I missed and people were ugly to me, I always made sure I didn't carry that over to the next house. You have to get rid of that. And if you're doing phone sales or field sales, either one, somebody's been ugly to you, whatever you got to do to put that out of your mind, you need to do it before you go to the next one, because you don't want that to spill over into your next presentation. And it can easily do it, because our mind's powerful. It'll play tricks on us sometimes. It'll subconsciously make us do things and take things over to the next sale, so we don't need to do that. So always make sure you get rid of it if somebody's been ugly to you. And you are going to have people be ugly to you from time to time. It's just the name of the game. But,
absolutely. And Frank, before we kind of segue out of here, we're actually in the last quarter of the year. We're going into the holiday season, which historically for us, it's always been the busiest time of the year. But a lot of people, for some reason, are stumped by the objection. Call me after the holidays. I'll do this later. Let's do this after the holidays. I can acknowledge, Thanksgiving is one of those times where it's a little bit iffy. However, I still work Thanksgiving week, and I know Rita has historically as well. But what are some of the things that you actually use to overcome those basic objections? Call me after the holidays. Let's do this after the holiday season. I'm broke, or whatever those excuses may be related to the holiday season. What are some of the ways that you actually overcome those basic objections?
Well, I would always go, when I would run into that, and you're going to run into that all the time, but more so around the holidays, obviously. But I would always say, Ms. Jones, right now, here today, your health qualifies you for this plan. And it'd be my prayer for you that you don't have a health change, but you never know. I would tell a story maybe about another customer who, and come up. I would have a true story. I would say, Miss Jones, I showed her a plan like this, and she didn't want to go ahead and take care of it while I was there. And then maybe a couple 3 weeks later, her daughter called me and told me that she just had a couple of stents put in, and she wanted to go ahead and get that insurance now. Well, guess what? She doesn't qualify anymore, so I couldn't do it for her. So you need to go ahead and lock this in now while I'm here, while your health qualifies. Let's go ahead and take care of this. I understand the holidays are coming, but this is important. Your health qualifies for you today. Right now is our qualification, our enrollment period for this area. I would use that a lot. People don't know, and it is your enrollment period. It's not like you're not lying to anybody when you say that. Hey, I'm working this county this week. This is our enrollment period. And I'm able to do this plan for you at this rate because this is our enrollment period. So
you have no idea, Frank. That is Rita's number one way that he overcomes all of his objections in the field, Rita. I know you laughing right now, man. This is your
I was laughing. I was laughing.
Strategy.
Frank, let me tell you.
So many sales. Guys, listen, I have closed so many thousands of sales that way. This is the enrollment period for whatever county, New Jersey we're in, wherever you're at. This is our enrollment period right now. We got to take care of this. Don't need any money today. We can set this first payment up for you the 3rd of next month or whenever your money comes, But right now is our enrollment period. We got to go ahead and get this taken care of.
Man,
that's the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah, especially with I've used that enrollment period all the time, especially with COVID, where I tell people, look, this is the enrollment period. This is a sensitive time because of Corona and COVID. The premiums are going up. The insurance companies are tightening up their underwriting. Something that you can get today, you might not be able to get tomorrow. Plus, you will never be as young and as healthy as you are today. So today is the
Exactly.
day. Who will be the beneficiary?
I mean, especially with field sales guys, it's a first appointment close. I mean, there's no coming back. You have to close it while you're there. You know, you just do.
That's over the phone too, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I'm telling you, you got to get them while it's hot, and you got to close it. And I know people, I know they want to put you off because of the holidays, but you just have to drive that point home. Hey, your health qualifies you for this today. This is our enrollment period. We won't have another enrollment period for maybe another year. We need to go ahead and lock this in while you're here, while I'm here, and while we can do this now. And so a lot of times you could go ahead and get them to go ahead and close. More times than not, you'll be able to close the sale using that technique right there. Perfect. But I'm glad to hear you guys already use that. I'm just kind of repeating what you already know to do, but that's powerful. I'm telling you.
Well, Frank, I don't think we actually have talked about that too much on these morning calls, which, you know, you saying it just made me think of Rita, because that was, you know, because what we used to do when we were in the field, Frank, is, you know, a couple of years ago, Rita would have his Bluetooth on, I'd have my Bluetooth on, and we just mute ourselves on the phone. And when I was driving to another appointment, I would just hear how Rita, you know, knocks on doors. And he would say this over and over and over again. I was like, enrollment period? These people don't got no enrollment period. But then I started thinking, like, wow, that's how you create some urgency. That's really genuinely how you create some urgency to make people aware that they can't keep putting this off. Because that's the number one thing that they want to do. You know, when you give people a deadline, they take more action because they know that it's not going to be available all the time. Same thing like Medicare. You know, like right now, everybody's looking at plans because they know after December 7th, it's not going to, there's not going to be well, actually it's December 10th this year, but there's not going to be an option to move forward after that date unless you have OEP. But, you know, I think that was very, very, very powerful what you said there, Frank, and I really appreciate you actually bringing that up so we could put some emphasis on that. And, you know, also, Frank, you went above and beyond and sharing your wealth of knowledge and experience in the business. We definitely have to have you on the call again. And there's one last thing I wanted to break down. You said that people are usually changing their coverage or updating their coverage every 18 to 24 months. Now, is this specifically life insurance, or is this any type of insurance benefit?
It's just any type of insurance. You know, maybe health insurance more so than life insurance, to be honest with you. You know, people are changing it, just change their coverage a lot or add to it or want to change something. You have to stay in touch with your customer base. That's so important. Talk to your people. You know, like I said, you just shoot them a text, send them a note, whatever. You know, I always contact the people on their birthday. I tell them happy birthday. People appreciate things like that. And I didn't even learn that in the insurance business. I was studying a guy, the number one car salesman in America. Guy sells like 65, 70 cars a month. And people were asking this guy, how do you make so many sales? How do you sell this many cars and nobody else can? And you know what he does? He said, it's all about relationships. He said, I talk to my customers once a month. I touch them in some kind of way. I send them a message. I send them a text. He said, not about buying a car, but like I'll ask them, hey, how's that business? How's your business, whatever it may be doing, or how's your daughter doing, or whatever, you know, something like that, just to touch base with them. And he said, they send me customers. This guy never goes out on the lot and waits on somebody. They all come to him. And it's all about touching base with your customer, staying in touch, staying relative with your customer. And that's the biggest thing I've learned to do, and one of the most important things I've seen about making future sales and getting referrals is staying in touch with your clients. You know, let them know. Everybody wants to feel important, guys. Everybody wants to feel appreciated. And if you do that, your customers will feel important. They'll feel appreciated. And guess what? If you take care of them, they're going to take care of you. So that was my point. So please, if you're out there, you know, once you make that sale, don't forget about your people. Go back and talk to them. Go back and see them. Always, when I was back in the town, I would pull up my client base that was there. I'd just drop by and see them. You know, in between appointments, I would go by and see them. You know, just to say hey to them. Take them a calendar. Take them a little gift or something, just to go by and let them know I appreciate them. And I promise you, they're going to take out more coverage or either send you to a family member or a friend to buy some coverage. Guarantee you it'll work. So just, again, some of these old school techniques that I've learned over my 30-some-odd years of experience, but guess what, guys? They still work today just as good as they did back 20, 30 years ago. We
They're
have all this
100%
technology
relevant.
like it. I'm telling you, Rita talked about it earlier. We got all this technology, iPhone this and iPhone that. And look, I've had to embrace that. I get it. But at the end of the day, sales, the general principles of a sale have not changed. You know, you gotta go in there, develop that need, build that relationship, build that rapport with the client, and then they'll go along with what you show them. You know, so. Anyway,
man, Frank, I want to thank you one more time from the bottom of my heart. I know Rita and the team are all, everybody's grateful for your time that you spent with us here today. There's a wealth of knowledge that you have shared with us. I want to tell you that we appreciate you, we salute you, and we are definitely happy to be a part of the senior family. So I appreciate you taking the time today, Frank. Rita, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, we all thank you. We all love you and appreciate you and look up to you. For every agent who's listening, if you want to take on, Frank, for what he was saying about the direct mail, go for it. And, we've been lucky enough to work with Senior Select, where unlike other companies where you have to do a lot of prepaid for the mail drop and so on, they work it very, very differently because they care about their agents. If you want to take it on, just call me or call Jamal and make sure, you work and hustle and then work again and then see the numbers work. I promise you, you go on the direct mail, in this next 3 months, you make more money than you made in the last 6 months. Thank you so much, Frank. We really appreciate your words. Cannot show you how much we appreciate your time and looking forward to growth and prosperity with Senior Select.
Well, guys, I appreciate it as well, and it's certainly been my pleasure to be with all of you this morning. And again, I love doing this, and I appreciate you giving me the time, and look forward to talking with you again soon. So
thank you, Frank. Everybody, it is Wednesday. It is Hump Day. It is 7:10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It is 10:10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys, let's make today count. Let's make some money. Let's actually execute on all the things that Frank has been so generous to share with us here today. And I want to thank everybody for listening in and joining us for the last hour and 10 minutes. So with that being said, you guys, let's go ahead and get started. Let's get rolling. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Again, you guys, this is Results Over Reasons. Please, please, please make sure you guys subscribe to us on podcasts. Podcast One, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, and you can listen to us to anywhere you get your podcast. Let's make sure that this is something that we actually take action on and we execute on a daily basis. I appreciate all of you guys. Take care. Have a wonderful day.